This is something that I've discussed with my fellow judges. Many of us new judges from...
Not you said you'd never looked at these statistics.
I haven't, these particular statistics I am not familiar with. But in terms of new judges, both from the current administration and the former administration, we are quite a collegial bunch. And oftentimes talk about the pressures of a new judge and the way reassignments work in our district, which is that you get, for example, 300 cases.
Yes, ma'am, I understand. I'm familiar with the procedure in federal court. Here's what I'm trying to understand. Why is your record so bad?
They say a government that drags its feet drags the people down. And tonight, patriots, we're watching a judge try to explain why her courtroom moves slower than wet cement. Before we dive in, don't forget to like and subscribe. Grab a seat and get comfortable.
Judge, welcome.
Thank you.
You are probably the least productive member of your district court, isn't that right?
Well, I have not considered myself in those terms, Senator.
Well, let me explain what I mean. You have 125 motions pending that you've declined to decide.
Let
me finish. That's more than any other district judge in the entire Seventh Circuit. In fact, you rank 7th highest nationally, do you not?
I am not familiar with those statistics, Senator Kennedy.
You haven't looked?
I did look in preparation for this hearing, but I didn't compare myself to others.
You haven't seen that you ranked the 7th, the worst in the country in terms of making decisions?
You are the first to tell me this. And I think for me, I stress the quality of my decision-making. And as I explained, I came on, I was the first district judge to come on during this administration.
Yeah, but so were all the others. I mean, there have been 68 district judges confirmed in the 117th Congress. In terms of motions pending for more than 6 months, you rank number 3. You all came on at the same time. You all had the same problems with COVID. You're the 3rd worst. You really think of all the other district judges in the 7th Circuit, you're the one that ought to be promoted based on this record?
Senator, this is something that I've discussed with my fellow judges. Many of us new judges from...
Not you said you'd never looked at these statistics.
I haven't, these particular statistics I am not familiar with. But in terms of new judges, both from the current administration and the former administration, we are quite a collegial bunch. And oftentimes talk about the pressures of a new judge and the way reassignments work in our district, which is that you get, for example, 300 cases.
Yes, ma'am, I understand. I'm familiar with the procedure in federal court. Here's what I'm trying to understand. Why is your record so bad?
Well, I don't view it that way, Senator. When I look at the quality of my decision-making, the feedback that I get from parties,
of course parties are not going to criticize you. They want you to rule in their favor.
I understand, Senator Kennedy.
I mean, that's just the way it works. Help me understand why you have such an abysmal record in moving cases. I mean, it costs a lot of money to litigate, and people are paying lawyers, and time is money. And of all the district court judges in the 7th Circuit, you're the worst in terms of moving cases. Why do you think you deserve to be promoted over all of those others?
So, Senator, again, I'm not familiar with the statistics, but I stand by my record and that I give parties what they need. I think, I am regularly in my courtroom. I am regularly issuing decisions. I just came on at a very difficult time where there was a backlog in the courts.
So did everybody else. Let me ask you, when you were a partner in your law firm, you volunteered to write a brief on behalf of the Brady Center. You wrote the brief, and this is what you said. You volunteered for this. You weren't being paid. Is that right?
This was a pro bono case that one of my partners brought in, yes.
You said, quote, assault weapons may be banned because they're extraordinarily dangerous and are not appropriate for legitimate self-defense purposes, close quote. Tell me what you meant by assault weapons.
Thank you, Senator Kennedy. Just to clarify there, I was local counsel. Our Supreme...
Yeah, but you wrote the brief. Tell me what you meant by assault weapons.
Senator Kennedy, actually, I did not write the brief. The brief was written by...
You signed the brief, though, didn't you?
Correct. I signed the brief.
When you sign a brief, you're testifying to the court that everything in it is true, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So
they're your words in terms of the court, right?
Well, you're correct, Senator Kennedy.
Okay.
I would never
Tell
sign...
me what you meant by assault weapons.
So I am not a gun expert, and at the time, that brief, I think, was about 10 years...
But you were giving the court advice about, say, ban assault weapons. What is... You told the court you were an expert. Just tell me what you wanted to ban.
Senator, sitting here today, as I said, I did not write that brief. I was local counsel.
Sign the brief.
I understand. At the time...
Tell me what you wanted to ban. That's all I want to know, Judge.
I don't remember the exact definition of assault weapons in the ordinance that was at issue.
So you submitted a brief to an appellate brief. You signed it, and you don't know what. And you said abolish assault weapons, and you don't know what you wanted them to abolish.
Senator, at the time that I signed the brief, I read the brief because our Supreme Court required an Illinois bar member to sign the brief. I was not responsible for researching the content.
You were responsible for the brief.
Absolutely. And sitting here today, I do not remember the characteristics of that were cited in the ordinance for the assault weapons ban. It's not an area of practice that I have specialized in. I'm sure 10 years ago I could have answered your question.
And
but
Judge,
sitting here today,
you think
Senator,
you deserve to be promoted with this record?
Senator, I stand by my record. I stand by my record.
Senator Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Congratulations to you and your...
Welcome back to 50 Patriots. Senator Kennedy just took the gloves off and ripped T.O. shreds, a judicial nominee, who came into that hearing thinking she could dodge accountability. But the numbers don't lie, and Kennedy came armed with every single one of them. He starts by pointing out the painful truth. This judge is the least productive member of her district. Not second worst, not almost worst, dead last. 125 motions sitting around collecting dust, while real Americans pay real money for justice that never comes. And when Kennedy tells her she's seventh worst nationwide, what does she say? I haven't looked at the statistics. How do you ask for a promotion without knowing your own record? Then he shows her the kicker. All 68 district judges confirmed in the same Congress dealt with the same backlog, the same pandemic aftermath, the same workload. But somehow she ranks third worst in the entire Seventh Circuit for motions pending more than 6 months. Kennedy asked the obvious question, why should someone with that record be promoted? She can't answer. She hides behind quality of decisions, as if you can call it quality when you don't deliver decisions at all. And just when she thought the heat couldn't rise any higher, Kennedy moves iron again with the Brady Center gun control brief she voluntarily signed. Not forced, not assigned. She volunteered. The brief pushes banning assault weapons. Yet the moment Kennedy asks her to define what she wanted banned, she collapses under her own argument. Suddenly, she's not a gun expert. Suddenly, she didn't write the brief. Suddenly, she doesn't remember what was in it. Patriots, this is a danger of activist lawyering. People who push gun bans they can't even explain. If you sign it, you own it. That's how responsibility works. Kennedy made it crystal clear. If you can't define the weapons you want outlawed, you have no business sitting on a higher bench. This hearing wasn't just embarrassing. It was a masterclass in exposing weak judicial philosophy. Kennedy did what few are bold enough to do. He held the line. If you're tired of nominees who hide behind excuses, if you're tired of activist briefs wrapped in forgetfulness, then this is your reminder. The Senate's job is not to rubber stamp incompetence. Patriots, tell me what you think. Should someone with this track record be promoted? Comment below, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with friends who follow political battles like this. See you in the next one.